Excuse me, no sound.
Is that better?
Hello?
Yes, that's great, thanks.
Check, 1, 2.
All the buttons.
Okay. So, public comments. Oh, hands is down, so.
No hands.
Joanne?
Saying she couldn't hear.
Yes. Okay. Got it, thank you. So, consider the approval of our last meeting minutes, first, the 3/8/23.
I'm moving.
I'll second.
So we have a motion and a second for the 3/8/23 minutes. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Okay. Motion's passed. Okay, now for the 3/16 minutes. Have a motion?
A motion. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries. Yeah, okay, any events coming up?
None for this month, though.
Land records and county surveyor department report.
Not a lot to report. Snow is finally melting, so we can try and get some field work done. There's three or four townships that did revals this year. So that means that we went and changed for the first time. We've got a lot of mapped acreages now that are different than what it's been for years and years. So now everybody in those townships is going to get a change of assessment notice with a new acreage on there. Because we have instead of just being 40 acres, now we know what's 38.5 or 41.5. Which is generating many phone calls already. So that's gonna get worked through. Survey crew's been working in see, Draper, Winter, some stuff around Lake. And that's about it. Other than this is my last meeting. I'm gonna retire in a couple of weeks to be done. Appreciate it. 20 years of being here.
So, Andy, you wanna?
Yeah, I didn't know if Dan was gonna acknowledge that this is his last meeting. He is gonna be retiring. How many years?
Just short of 20 here, yeah.
Good.
Would have been 20 on May 9th, I think.
So we thank him for his service to the county. As far as what we're going to do, we're still determining that. We're meeting with the department, talk to Dan a little bit about some paths forward. But we'll have something an updated next month's meeting.
Sounds good. Thank you for everything.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, Surrey County Forestry Department. Okay. Recreational trails report, motorized, not motorized.
Well, between forestry and the Alliance, we decided this year to actually close the snowmobile trails. It was creating a kind of a law enforcement nightmare because we had private landowner trails that were closed down. The easements for those ended between March 15th and March 31st. And the Schwamigan Forest closed down their trails. We decided between us that it would just create a possible trespassing situation and something that we wanted to make sure that we were protecting our landowners' agreements and rights to not have, allow use on their land. So we actually closed the trails down. We're getting ready for the ATV season. We expect it to be even heavier traffic than last year. I did want to introduce Chris Treeland Newman. She's on my committee or our committee through the Alliance. She also works with Greg Peterson on closely with trail aids and grants. And so if I'm not here giving a report in the future, Chris will be here. I just wanted you to know who she is. And I really don't have much else to say unless you have any questions.
I just have one. Do you have an approximate usage, how many snowmobiles were on the trails?
I figured you were gonna ask me that. I've been so busy that I haven't done the final count on all our trail counters. In fact, I still have a couple out on the trails that I just wasn't able to retrieve, so I've gotta wait until we get out and work on some trails and with forestry's permission, and I'll retrieve those counters and get a final count hopefully by next meeting. I apologize for that. It was busy.
Thank you. Mhm.
Mr. Chairman, Kathy, are the trails closed right now for ATVs? They're like
Well, the
things
trail
falling off the-
systems. Are
The
you
trail systems are.
right?
Well, the frost is coming out, what little frost there is.
Right, the Tuscobia 9 Mile Loop, which is Trail 11 off the Tuscobia, those are open to ride. But all the other trails through the forest entities are closed for spring thaw. So that would be the Flambeau, Sawyer County Forestry and the Schwamigan. They usually open right around the same time, but sometimes they're staggering opening dates. And
Sure.
we'll inform the public as we hear from each entity.
What about maintenance assistance like that 777 trail on the reservation?
That's not
Do
a
we get any
funded
aid?
trail. No, that is not a funded trail. You'd have
Not
to
a
go
funded
through that.
trail.
Correct. We've,
But I've heard that you and the Alliance assist with cleanup and some repairs on that. Is that true?
Well, they've helped to maintain the trails and.
right,
That segment of the trail,
but
is our responsibility, and so that's one of those projects.
you're talking major excavating with that trail system right now to restore it.
I'm talking Gurnall Lake Road to Indian Lake Road.
Right,
A really rough spot we had talked about, and I looked at our
Yes.
map,
yes.
even talked about an alternate route there.
Well, an alternate route is always an option, but it's probably not a good option. I mean, the geology down there, it's all rock, so.
You're gonna have rock no matter where you take that trail through that ridge. I have a feeling, but right now it's not passable.
And that's a major connector, right, Brian?
Well, I mean, it's a major segment of the trail.
Sorry, Chairman, thank you. Okay,
Okay, we have anything on the non-motorized? It's a negative. County forestry report.
Okay, for month of March, we had 5 sales that were finishing up for the winter logging season. We had a pretty good season. A lot of activity for the winter months. Our sale value sold and uncut on file right now is just over 3.7 million. Our revenue for March was $373,000, so we did clear $1 million for the year already through our winter logging season, which is where we really want to be. So we're not, nip and tuck the rest of the year. So pretty good start. We did cash in another performance bond on a sale we took back from a contractor that was way past 5 years on the sale. So there's been a few of those that we've been gradually taking back, and we'll re-advertise those sales. Sale revenue billed out right now is just under 30,000. Sale inspections are on target for the level of activity. Tract establishment, we did get quite a few tracts written up. Our spring timber sale bid prospectus is out right now. Our bid opening is on Friday, April 28th. We'll have those results and approval at the next meeting. Recon, we're well on target there as well. We're just working on our for year 24 contract on Good Neighbor Authority, mostly administrative things right now due to the snow conditions for the month. But once as the conditions improve, we'll be hitting that a little bit harder once we can get into more areas. Other than that, not much more to report. We are preparing our grant applications as we speak right now for the April 15th deadline for snowmobile and ATV special projects and maintenance. So I'll have a report on that next month when we get our final numbers in and finish up all the grant applications. And as Kathy mentioned, we did close the trails. Typically, we haven't had official closings on them. But that is something that we're gonna look at this year and hopefully come up with a revision to the policy where we can have some official opening and closings that we can communicate to the public. So that should be coming at some point. That's all I have for my monthly report.
Okay, next we have the update of the Surrey County Outdoor Rec Plan.
Okay, yeah, we had approved this a couple of years ago. The reason for the revision is the town of Sand Lake and the Stone Lake Lions Club. They're working on a state and federal grant that park. As part of that process, they need the specific project listed in the outdoor rec plan. So they're looking at adding ADA accessible equipment and surfacing to the Lions Park playground there. And so on page 27 of this plan, we just did a quick update referencing that. And then we had some existing language about the Stone Lake Elementary School that wasn't valid anymore, so we're removing that. So just a quick update to try to improve their chances of getting the grant.
So that needs to be approved.
Yep.
A motion to approve that.
To approve that. Move it, or to approve the changes as indicated in the agenda.
Okay,
Does this go to county board?
That's gonna be my question.
yeah.
It should, yeah.
So okay, over one. So we have a first and a second. All in favor, say aye. Negative, all against, say nay. Motion passes, goes forward to the board. Number 2, is that?
That's just my summary, that's just the summary of what was changed.
Okay. Okay. All right, so we'll move on to the DNR forestry report.
Yeah, Pat Zimmer, the Forest Group DNR team leader, for Russell and Sawyer County, filling in again for the liaison vacancy, and a couple things I'll touch on. One, good news is that we did get a successful recruitment for the vacant position, and we have a new person, Brody Fisher, will be starting on April 24th as the new Sawyer County Forest liaison. He took a transfer from a position he's currently holding in Park Falls to come over here. So I think that'll be a very good move. Your guy, but they'll work out really well. And the other thing to mention is that with the snow melting rapidly, I think everyone's noticed that, taking note of it. Actually, the southern 2/3 of Wisconsin right now is in very high fire danger. We've sent some local resources to assist with fire suppression and some prescribed burning down there. So you can expect to see conditions continue to change rapidly with the warmer weather. And we're starting to do some minimal fire staffing that's creeping up to the north. So Sawyer County will be in that probably the next couple of days. But one thing I'll mention is if you recall that heavy snow loading that we had back in December, especially I think probably central and southern part of Sawyer County, it was impacted. I think we're expected to see an uptick of potential people burning debris, cleaning up their yards, that type of thing. So just an awareness to make sure people are following the burning laws, getting the permits when they're doing that open burning.
Thank you. I want to make one note. Mr. Schuman, Supervisor Schuman is a voting member for this meeting.
Thank you.
Okay. And next is zoning conservation department.
Yeah, the conservation department update, tree sale, it's coming up here quickly. We have the scheduled pickup May 5th and 6th. It'll be at a new location this year. It'll be at the Sawyer County Fairgrounds. Our aquatic invasive species coordinator has applied for a purple loosestrife biocontrol grant. This is to raise beetles here within the county and then release them into higher density purple loosestrife areas. As one of the best and really the only control for purple loosestrife is a specific beetle that will target in that species.
We are submitting applications for nutrient management farmer education grant. As far as the Lake Loretta Upper Bruni River Dam update, gates are still being fabricated. Install was pushed back slightly due to longer than anticipated winter weather up until the last 3 days now. Just talked to the contractor via email this morning. It sounds like they're looking at it was going to be next week, but there's too much flow going over the main channel right now that they're wanting that to subside because they actually have to get into that channel and smooth out the stop log areas. So they're looking at the following weeks, the last week of April, to reinstall the stop logs as well as the new 2 gate functions that'll be on that dam. There'll be some additional riprap and shoreline stabilization that will then occur into May. Price dam update. Last fall, we had a motor go out on one of the 2 gates that are on that day. We sent it actually down to a company in Georgia that had done repairs, and we did the reinstall yesterday. It worked for a total of about 15 seconds and crapped out on us again. So we'll be getting a hold of that company in Georgia to see what the issue is, in contact with our contractor that actually does the new motor install. We still do have 1 gate functioning on that, but during emergency floodwater stages, it is a liability right now for the county. We are still trying to work through getting that gate functioning again. Zoning department in general, huge uptick that coincides with the warmer weather. We're staying incredibly busy and calls and permits are flooding in now here.
Sounds good.
Chairman, I got a question for Jake.
Yes, sir.
Jake, is there a possibility of manually running that gate?
There is, but it's not great. The town of Winter had informed us yesterday that they were able to slightly open the gate with a system of come along. Now, I don't know what they're mounting that come along to actually pull this gate
Yeah.
function up. But yeah, it's not good right now where it is. We gotta get that motor fixed, and then we thought we did. It lifted the gate up about 30%. And then we went to lower it again and it went lower. We were able to eventually manually lower it, but you can't manually raise it. Without a system of a come along, which again, isn't a good apparatus to have on.
Couldn't they damage that
Yeah.
using this come along system? So
Yeah.
maybe you might want to let them know.
Right, and that was the town that had done that, and yeah, so the town ultimately has 50% ownership of the stand with the county. We have a working agreement with them on this, but. We gotta get that motor fixed, and there's not a lot of people, and again, we have to send this motor, a specialized motor to Georgia, the state of
Mhm.
Georgia, to have it repaired. We'll try to get a hold of that company again to see if they can. Do further repairs to it. It's one of 2 things. It's either a switch in the internal aspects of it that something isn't connecting the switch for the lowering and the raising portion of it. Or there's something actually within the clutch mechanism of that motor that's goofed up, so. And
How do you power that motor? Is there electric?
there's electric that runs up to it, yeah, and we troubleshooted that yesterday, and it's not an electric issue.
Well, that's good to know. Okay, moving on to, thank you, to the USDA report.
Right now, there's not much to report. Like April 7th was the deadline for General Conservation Reserve Program, CRP, which I reported in the past, nobody in Sawyer County wants to sign up for. There's only 2 farms or 2 landowners in Russ County that have signed up for it. May 1st is going to be a crop insurance local sale closing date for nursery crops. And then the other thing is, be aware now that the big dairies are going to start hauling their liquid manure. So they're going to be taking up a lot of road space right now. And they're probably gonna be busting up the roads, so be careful about that. And that's about all I have right now.
Yippee.
How do they get by the road bans?
Huh?
How do they get by the road bans? Is it an
With
essential?
the amount of snow we had, a lot of these open pits are full and the snow's melting and they're filling up with water. And they're gonna start overrunning. So they're gonna get a special request from the DNR. Actually, they said the 28th of March, they were thinking about letting them go, start to pump these out down. But they weren't able to get the fields because they couldn't get through the snow anyways right now, so.
LCO report.
I don't have a whole lot to report, one of the, probably, well, I'll start off with, we do have a grant application that's gonna be going in here relatively quickly. We're partnering with the DNR and the Menominee tribe. This is a grant to improve Wisconsin's wild rice. So there's one thing going on right now. We got a lot of spring activities being planned. Trail 777 being one of them. And we're just waiting for it to dry out a little bit. We got a lot of, we're worried about flooding out there. We've got a lot of flood culverts, and so we're going to be assisting the roads department with clearing some of these culverts out there so they don't flood roads any worse than some of them are. Outside of that, we're just waiting for spring. No.
Thank you, sir. Andy, you want to go over this town of Coudray request?
Sure.
Village of Leamington.
So a couple, back in February, we received a communication from Lien Law Office on behalf of the town of Coudray. They have decided to vacate the plat of survey for the village of Leamington. And just would require a motion to allow the clerk to sign the statement saying that we have no objection to that. And we are getting this notice because it's not sure. I didn't know where Leamington was until this came up.
So I'm like, where in the world is Leamington?
So Leamington is County Highway C. So it's on Highway C between 27 and 48. So if you can see the map.
Railroad tracks.
Yeah, right where the railroad tracks and the Scobia Trail. So you zoom in here,
I never heard of them.
kind of see the
What's the request for again?
to abandon the town of Leamington plat. So what would happen is there would be no more. I mean, if you drove through there, you would never realize probably that it was even a village at one time. We're a property owner within the village where the plat is. One of these parcels here, it's a forested parcel. But what it does is it takes out any platted streets and roads and those, maybe Dan, my familiarity is usually if you abandon the plat.
I mean, it's odd that we haven't heard about this.
Okay.
It can be kind of a big deal.
But the any streets or roads, alleyways just revert to the adjacent property owners.
Depending on where they are, yeah, it can, yeah. So if it's platted on both sides, it would go to, I mean, I'm wondering what it even does for the county highway and stuff in there. I don't know, I haven't heard about it.
Okay,
So, yeah, all the lots are vacated, all the streets and alleys are vacated. And depends on who they go to and how it was platted on the edges of it would have to be determined who owned it before. Yeah, it'll be confusing for that.
So that little town just gets sucked up by Coudray or something? Or?
I think it pretty much is already. It's
Well,
there is no
It's
legal
in,
structure.
no, it's not incorporated, so it's part of the town of Coudray. So basically what it does is, so they're gonna vacate the entire plat or just vacate the streets?
It's the abandonment of the roads, streets, avenues, and alleys.
So not necessarily the plat, just vacate the alleys and streets.
Okay, yeah.
What's the difference, guys? I don't know what.
Well, otherwise, if you vacate it all the lots and everything go away too. You know, and that's people's legal descriptions are those lots.
Yeah.
The
So, and
statement,
then
the
when
statement
they
is,
do that, when they vacate the streets, they gotta make sure nobody's landlocked too, you know, so it happens.
This
Mr. Schumer,
sounds like legal should be advising us on this.
yeah, we did. They said there's no, if we want to go ahead and sign off on it, there's nothing. I mean, if we don't sign this, I don't know what happens. But there is no,
I guess I really don't know why the county even has to approve it.
Right. Should be to the city plat office.
Yeah, let's not go there if we don't have to, especially not being advised by legal.
And yeah, it's just been.
Legal had no problem with it. It's up,
Oh,
yeah,
We're just waiting for that resolution that we haven't seen.
this, I think this is the
Oh,
resolution.
did you get one?
No, it's that statement. I think
Oh,
that's.
that's the resolution.
Yeah.
The resolution from the town of Footery.
What about that one from Lean? Wasn't Lean off, Lean's law?
That's not affecting us.
That's just a statement.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, it's just the resolution they sent along says. I, Lynn Fitch, hereby give permission to the town of Coudray to vacate all of the roads, alleys, and streets in the village of Leamington.
Rail crossing outside.
Yes,
It's, can we have a public comment?
Could you repeat that language? Are they discontinuing or banning? What's it say? Because that's two different things.
Vacate all of the roads, alleys, and streets in the village of
Vacate 'em.
Leamington.
Okay.
That's what the state, that's the resolution, as they call it, that they sent to us to sign off on. But, I mean, if you wanna, I guess we can, we've already told them that we can't. We've delayed this to bring it to the committee, because like what you said, that's the statement that they want us to sign. The first sentence of the letter, though, is the town of Coudray has decided to vacate the plat of survey.
I don't know why the county has anything to do with that unless they're talking about. County road or the county actually owns some property inside that.
We
plat.
do. We own one of these.
Yeah, we, on
Yeah.
the east side of the road, yeah, we own
there's one on the east
on
side.
the east side too.
Well, no, I don't know. I would know very little about this, but you said something about plat. And that first sentence is plat,
Mhm.
so.
But
that
they're
first
just
sentence-
vacating the streets and the alleys in the plat.
Read this first sentence
The
again.
first sentence of the letter is the town of Coudray has decided to vacate the plat of survey. For the
Plat of
village of
survey.
Leamington. And then later it says. It is necessary for each of the landowners within the village. Agree to this abandonment of the related roads, streets, avenues, alleys. As described within the village of Leamington plat.
But the first sentence says they're gonna vacate the
The
whole
plat?
plat.
Plat of survey.
Isn't that a problem?
Yeah, that's a problem.
I mean,
Because
like I
if
said,
they
little bit I
vacate-
know.
If they
I've
vacate
heard
the
here.
plat, all the lots go away.
Yeah, so.
I mean, I can see vacating the roads, but I don't know about. I don't know if that language is correct, just my opinion.
Yeah, we can punt on it.
administrative.
you want a motion to?
There's no motion, just don't
No
take no
motion,
action.
okay.
Okay, can I allow just Freeman to speak? Mrs. Freeman, correct?
I just, I don't know if anyone can speak to it right now, but I would ask if you're gonna review this, that you just make sure it does not impact the Tuscobia Trail in any way, because that is both a motorized and non-motorized trail that is open year round, so. I just wanna make sure that doesn't have any effect, and then I would also be curious as to how the county highway fares and all of this too. I don't know that.
Yeah, I think it's good, we gotta get, kind of delve into it more before any actions are taken, so. I don't know
Did you get notice of that?
what,
We'll go, I'll go together with Dan and we'll get in touch with Lean and find out.
okay,
what they're doing.
Probably just the language, just to make sure it's clear what they're.
Yeah.
yeah, like I said, I mean, like, I don't know anything, but when you said that, it kind of concerned me. Okay. Any future agenda items?
Will we be doing elections next month?
That's a good question for Supervisor Truman.
Yeah.
Truman, isn't it Truman?
Yeah, I think we should, because by then the new appointed supervisor will be on this board and they can participate in the function.
Great.
It's a good idea. So that'd be a future agenda item, right?
Yep, that should be, that would be good.
Thank you, Jay.
Yeah, I think I asked for it on this one, but I was too quick on the draw. So. Correspondence reports from conferences and meetings. Negative. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Chairman.
That was interesting information.
Wow.